Morning, everybody. Again, this is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. You may have noticed that I have updated my blog. I've got a new site. I basically had to move everything to my own server. Blogger was great to me, but it limited me into what I could do. So the first thing I want to talk about today is a little bit about the site. And again, the cool thing about this is I'm going to be able to provide a lot more information to you, my viewers, and to all the people that want weather information specifically for Charlotte. My goal is to build this thing out eventually with more menus and really more local data. There's so many sites for weather data and information out there. I really wanted to put a focus on Charlotte and the Carolinas. So the first thing you notice, the front page will always have my latest blog entries, and I'll be updating these pretty frequently, even as I build out the other pages. One of the things I really wanted to do was a request page, and I put this up because so many people ask me about school talks and talking to Cub Scouts, church groups, your business, whatever it should be about weather, severe weather safety. I do a ton of these, so I love doing them because it gives me more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds to talk about the weather. But I put a page here with my calendar that I'll be updating with my schedule so you can see when I'm doing school talks. But all you gotta do is fill out the request form down here. Send me a date, a time, how many in your group, and what you want me to talk about, and we'll set it up. You can see on Thursday I have a group. I'm going up to Lincoln Charter School in Denver, up in Lincoln County, to talk to them about weather. So feel free if you have anybody that needs someone to come talk. My schedule fills up quick, but if you give me enough notice, I can usually accommodate you, or I can have Larry, John, or even Megan take over. Some of the other things I'm working on, my pictures and videos, services. These are weather services that I do. I do storm spotting. I do on-site weather insurance stuff. I also do consulting for climate data, severe weather data, and anything that has to do with damage to your home that you may have had during an event. We can take care of that. But one of the things I really like is I put some model data on here, specifically the snowfall forecast, which leads me to what I'm going to talk about right now, and that is the winter weather that could be heading our way later this week. The big story today has been the dramatic cool down in temperatures from yesterday, 71 in Charlotte, but today we've got northeast winds, and this cold high pressure over New England is wedging itself down excuse me, the eastern slopes of the Appalachians. So we are going to be cold, drizzly, and just kind of, boy, what a difference from yesterday. At least 25, 30 degrees colder than yesterday. But the big story is out to the west, and you really can't tell right now by looking at this, but this is the 500 millibar chart. There's an upper level disturbance in the northern stream, one in the southern stream, and they're going to meet up in the middle of the country. And you can see it on the water vapor loop. There's our disturbance coming out of the northern stream right there. Here's our southern stream energy, and these things are going to blow up over the Four Corners and the Front Range of the southern Rockies here, and then move out into the plains. And this is going to be a doozy. When you take a look at our model, what it's spitting out for snowfall through Oklahoma, North Texas, up into the Midwest, I've never seen the green show up in such a big area. Look at that. That's 16 to 20 inches and 20 to 24 inches in the lighter green. So we're talking about blizzard conditions here, and this could be a crippling storm from a snowfall standpoint. But just to the south of this line, there's going to be a crippling ice storm just to the south of that as well. As you take a look at some of the spreads in the snowfall output from the HPC, they've got a huge swath of 4 inches plus, and that's going to be a huge area that'll encompass a pretty large area of the country. As we take a look at the, I actually put the snowfall forecast on my site, so these are updated frequently from the different models. This is the NAM model, the 0Z and 12Z run. As you go down, here's the 6 and 18Z run. Notice the heavy snow. You're talking a foot plus here, 15 to 20 inches in the red. This is the GFS model. This has 18 to 20 inches in kind of that salmon color. And as you look at the 6Z and 18Z, a lot of that salmon color, that's 18 to 20 inches. And then I got the Canadian on here as well, which is showing the storm as well, but it's also picking up the possibility of another system down here that'll be heading our way possibly later this week. So let's take a look at what that could mean for us. Here's the sounding from the GFS model. And a quick thing you notice, we've got rain today, tomorrow, into Wednesday, but look at the Arctic front arriving during the day on Wednesday. That's going to drop us like a rock. That Arctic front comes in on Wednesday, and notice the temperature dropping all the way down into the upper 20s to near 30 degrees. That's on Thursday afternoon and basically recovering only to about 38, 40 degrees. So by Thursday night into Friday, the next system approaches and it's got snow, rain, and sleet for the Charlotte area. So that's something that we'll have to watch for later in the week. But the problem is going to be, what does this massive storm system over the middle of the country do? You can see this swath of snow. This is likely going to be such a large storm that it's going to change the upper level pattern once it finally forms and digs a huge trough. And really the late week storm for us is kind of up in the air, because until I see what this big storm does tomorrow into Wednesday, we really won't know how the upper level pattern is going to set up after it moves through, because it's such a large system, and this will set all kinds of records for areas in the Midwest, the Plains, up into the Northeast. The good news for us, we'll be on the warm side, but it's still eventually going to have an impact on us, because depending on how big that trough that it scours out once it cranks up over the middle of the country, that's going to dictate what's going to happen to us later in the week. And so when I take a look at this information on the European, I'm kind of taking this as, for a grain of salt. So here's the European model. Here's our big storm. Look at this thing cranking over the Midwest. I mean, that is huge. The one thing you know is that's got hurricane force winds on the northwest side, because we've got a 1050 Arctic high here, and this is a 992 millibar low over southern Illinois. So the wind in here, the pressure gradient difference is just immense. So as this thing cranks up and moves out, what it leaves behind is going to dictate what happens to us later this week. You see the big sprawling Arctic high camped out over the middle of the country. Last week we thought it'd be more over us, and there's a chance it could be close enough that we're going to see some really cold air. But as the Arctic high settles in over the middle of the country, notice what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico. We've got another storm developing down here and moving more in our direction. So depending on where this blue line is, the cold air is set up, there's likely going to be some wintry weather here next weekend, or this weekend I should say, and then it moves out, and then another system moves into the middle of the country and moves into the Midwest, and that could have an impact on us as well. So these two storms, this big one right here, and this thing's a doozy. I mean, when you look at that, boy, just look at that. Let's park that thing. This is 48-hour forecast. So this is tomorrow night. So that thing is going to be huge across the middle of the country, and because it's such a big storm, it eventually is going to dictate the pattern down the road for us. So that's just kind of an update of what's going on. No major impact on us right now for this first storm, but you're going to hear a lot about it in the news, because it's going to be a big story. It's affecting about 60% of the country. The storm later this week is the one here in the Carolinas we'll have to worry about, but we have to see what this first storm does until we know what's good. Hope you enjoyed the new site. And please, if you have any suggestions or you'd like to contribute some information to it, shoot me an email, send me a tweet, post on Facebook. There's a lot of cool features I hope to add down the road, you have to bear with me though. With all the work I have to do, it's just another thing that I'm working on kind of in my spare time. Hope you have a great Monday. I'll be off today. John will be filling in for me at 4, 5, 6, and 11. I'll be back tomorrow, and I hope you have a great start to the work week.